Hi, welcome to the Dental Elements podcast. This is the podcast that's supposed to be let loose and fun for the dental auxiliary team. I'm a dental hygienist myself and a dental assistant, April. Shatter the stigma to bring a fun podcast to hear what ails you. Get it? Ail. Share your stories because you are our guest. And yes, we would love to hear your stories. All kinds of stories from anything in the dental industry. There's so many things going on that you don't even know exist in dentistry, and it's so exciting and amazing. So we'd love to hear those stories. Something that we haven't heard before. Let's hear them. Also, our solopreneur series is back, and we will be releasing our first one next Saturday. So it'll be Solopreneur Saturday. And if you have a side gig and are a solopreneur or like to share your business, let it hook up with us. You can reach out to us on our website, rootuon.com, ROOT, the letter U, ON.com. And there is a section there for you to click on and send us your information. And we will get a hold of you and get a time set up. So we would love to hear from you. Also, I would like to introduce our guest we have on today. His name is Steve Anderson, and he wrote a book called The Comprehensive Guide to Creating the Dental Practice of Your Dreams. And he is so full of information. I could have talked to him all day, and I want to talk to him some more. He can help so much, and he's got so much information to share with you guys. He is, let me just tell you, I'm going to cheat here and grab his bio because I don't want to do him a disservice. So his singular goal is to make any dentistry's dream practice into a reality. Starting his construction career in 1984, he has specialized in building dental offices since 1997 through his company, Denco Dental Construction, Inc. In that time, he has worked with over 1,000 dentists, assisting them in designing and building the dental office they have always dreamed of owning and practicing in. Anderson is the only general contractor in Arizona who is endorsed by the Arizona Dental Association. He also provides CE credits for seminars, which he teaches at dental schools and special engagements. So hopefully we can have him come up here soon. In his new book, Dental Ease, The Essential Guide to Creating the Stress-Free and Profitable Dental Practice of Your Dreams, is a detailed written account of his expert knowledge on the subject. The goal of this essential guide is to assist dentists in making educated decisions effortlessly and minimizing the painful and expensive lessons many experience. Or the grind, painful grind too. You don't just want to live in the grind. You want to enjoy your job. And he does talk about that too, and so much more. He talks about what I really liked. He talked about 4 deadly mistakes that dentists make, and he calls it the 4 fists, and he'll tell you what those are too. 4 very important things to have a successful dental career and a successful life. So enjoy the episode, and talk to you soon. Cheers. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for
Good.
having me this morning.
Yeah, great. Thanks for joining us. So you're down in the Phoenix area, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, nice. And you're going to share your story with us today. I got your I love books and the smell of books. And oh my gosh, I can't get past smelling it to actually read it all. But it's lots of information that you're going to share with us today. So whatever you, part of the story you would like to share.
Yeah. Well, good. Yeah, I'd be happy to. It's my journey has been a number of years back. I was being a general contractor. I did residential and commercial, and I got to a point where I've got tired of being everything to everyone and just being a number and having no value. And all the professionals can deal with that to some degree, and so I was driving to work one morning in February, and I said, I need to create some value, and I need to look at things differently. And so I said, well, who needs help? And dentistry came to mind. I mean, I think about all the times I'd meet with a client and we just finish a meeting and they say, okay, now what? Who should I talk to? What else? What am I forgetting? And all these, I call them pain points. And it's amazing how many things they don't know. And I was just, at first I was surprised, and then I started diving into it. And so when I chose to specialize in dental, the best thing I ever did was take 8 key dentist professionals to lunch, that ones that really understood what they're doing, offices that we completed, and said, what could we do better? What should I have done different? What would help your process better? And what should I do now? How can I streamline? And got some great information and understood a lot more about the dentist. Also, just start working on averages. What is a dentist and what makes them up? And then from that, just learned a lot and just kept asking questions and went to lots of different classes and different things. And then since then, when I specialized, I realized I wanted to do a book for dentists at school, and because of those questions that I would have. So I committed to doing that in 2008. Remember the crash? Had some extra time on my hands and finished the book and then started teaching at the local dental schools. And then from that, finally got into it, and the book in your hands right now is something that finally put together and compiled, and it's a result of working over a 1,000 design build dental offices and helping people make better choices.
Yeah, so it says you're a dental practice mentor and guide. And so, first of all, I have to ask you, what did you find out? What is a dentist? Because a lot of us would like to know. I know they think different anyway, and it always seems like I worked with
Oh,
left-handed dentists. So,
yeah. What's interesting is, unlike most of the programs that you see, the biggest thing that I think gets ignored is every dentist is unique.
mhm.
And that's the one thing, so many dentists drink the Kool-Aid and they go to these special programs and they say build an office this way, or let us put it and they put them into their box, and unfortunately it doesn't work. And they're not really, the occasion for success is a small percentage. I'll give you an example. I had one doctor go up and spent $10,000 on just finishes, and he went to this class and he said, wow, I got hooked, and he ended up doing this finishes, and he came back, and I looked at him and I'm going, this might be okay in the Midwest, but this isn't you. And I said, I tell you what, let's just meet at my office and give me a couple, 2, 3 hours, and let's see what we can do. And at the end of those 3 hours, what was interesting is the only thing we kept was the accent paint.
Wow.
And, but I applauded the doctor then and after we finished his renovation, is you went with your heart, you understand what was important to you. And sometimes you need to just swallow your pride. And we all get sucked into something that we don't need or don't want or shouldn't do. I mean, I got a lot of stories I'd be happy to share, but we've all done that.
Oh yeah.
And the big thing is getting over it and make a better choice.
hmm I like how you say how they get put in this box. So that's the thing with dentistry, like the schedule, everything, like you said, everything's just like a box, and it's no wonder it's like claustrophobic. Everything's just box. It's a dentist. It's a hygienist. They think they have to conform to this
Yeah.
thing, and that's why so many people get burnt out. I feel in the dental industry because of that. They're trying to conform to this box. It's like, no, you don't. You can
Yeah.
open the lid.
Well, and a great example of that, Cindy, is when a dentist goes over and at first meet with them, they talk about, well, I want to do what he did. And I go, no, you don't. You want to do what is best for you.
Right.
And that's what the book helps draw out of them, is really understand that. And it's interesting when I do a seminar. Do you remember the song from the Who Are You?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, I start off with that, and people kind of look at me a little strange. And I said, there's a lot of power in that song, because really the bottom line is if a dentist takes the time to really understand who they are and what they're about, it helps so much with their focus. It helps them make better choices. They can really zero in on that target and hit it rather than kind of meander around and do things or get sold things they don't need, and not be that dentist that comes to mind where he's got 2 million machines collecting dust on the counter, and it's not because he needs it. It's because he didn't know how to say no, and he didn't know what was important to him, and didn't understand those dynamics.
Right.
So
So you always recommend starting out with kind of like finding your why, your purpose, or
yeah,
what, finding
absolutely.
you, who you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, and
And
then you dive into your vision, but it's really first really fully understanding who you are, and it just helps you so much and understand all those things that really helps the dentist go down that path so much quicker. It's
yeah, then you can get rid of the outside noise, and you're only going to hear what's who you are, like what's for you,
yeah.
meant for you to
I mean,
hear.
I remember early on one time I had a doctor that we did 9 floor plans for him. The first and the last were identical, and we went this big circle, and I'm kind of going, what am I missing here? And he was evolving. He hadn't asked questions of himself. He just started, and it was forcing him to really understand who he was. It was painful for me, but it was good for him. But
Like,
I'd much rather have them decide that beforehand before they dive into
right, right. And so you help. So you help with so many different things, like
it.
finding their why or talking and mentoring. But then also you have like plans for building an office where you actually have layouts for different operatories,
Yeah.
and I love that because that's something that it seems like offices are built from a box. And then as
Well,
a hygienist, when you're in there clinically, I'm in the laboratory, I'm like, who built this? Like, obviously somebody in
yeah.
dentistry did not design this room. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. I'm sure it costs millions of dollars, it has everything you need, but it sucks.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. Unfortunately, there's a lot of professionals that get stuck into their professional grouping, and they help them, but um, they're really not the ones for them. And so it's interesting is after what I've found, and that's why I started off the book the way it is after their vision, we get into talking about professionals, and we talk about a small word called accountable professionals, and making sure that they're professionals that will help them make better choices, because we've all been there. There's a lot of professionals out there, and they're more about their wallet than the doctors or the professionals future. You know what I'm talking about. We've seen it.
Right. Yeah, and I've watched dentists just have a sales rep come in and not say anything bad about the sales rep because they're doing their job. They're doing a fantastic job for this one dentist, just buying everything. And my operatory, beautiful, brand new remodel, but I had stuff in there for endo, and I'm not going to do endo. I'm like, I'm a hygienist, and so it's in my way. So really, it's hurting my ergonomics and
Yeah.
all this stuff that
They got
doctor was
sold on
sold.
volume. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm just like, oh, you sucker! Like,
But you brought up a great point. Is doctors say, well, I need more cabinets, and I said, no. I my old adage is you build it, they fill it. you
uh
know
huh, yeah,
and so really in the ops, it's we're seeing less, but the most important thing is really thinking through the process and understanding who they are. But it comes back to that accountable person, and we have questions that help in each category. What category, what are the professionals you need to help you at the beginning, and who are they, and what are the key roles they play? But then on top of that, what we want to do is talk about uh, what questions should they be asking for you, and giving you options. That's the biggest thing I see. Is my ears perk up when I hear a professional that says, you really don't need that. Had you considered this? And there's times I have to be I'm in a meeting with a doctor, and I just say, they just got done telling me something, and I'm looking at them going, okay, I don't know how to put this other than, can I be honest with you? Can I give you some honest feedback? of what we see the majority of the time. And maybe you're that small 5, 10, 15, 20% of the people that succeed in that area and doing it differently. But let me tell you what happens when you go down that route. And because most people don't know how to deal with it, and they don't know, they end up with a terrible result. An example is we've had dentists say, "I want to be right by the checkout counter, and that's my private office." And I go, "No." I said, "Hire a professional that you trust, number one, have a system in place and have those set up. And number two is that's the worst thing you can do for production is every break you have, you go up and sit by the checkout and you get sucked into conversations,
Oh,
and you should be working on your production." But little things like that, that so often you talk to the average architect or contractor, equipment person, and what they'll do is just say, "Sure," and they become a yes person rather than giving them good, solid information of helping them just make better choices.
yeah, because they wouldn't think about things like that because you
No, that's
wouldn't.
why they're coming to you, and
Yeah,
that's why
yeah.
they're coming to the professional to help them. But unfortunately, so many of them say, "Yeah, let's sign it up." And another one that you would love, Cindy, is went to a doctor calls me up, and she's down south, and I'm going, "This isn't making sense." And she called and said that I have a 6,000 square foot office, and I found and I want to take over. And I'm going, "Okay." And I knew they were in about 1,800, and I'm thinking, hmm. And but what they did is they got into this national thing that helps them schedule a lot of people, and they get people through the doors, and they get people in there. And unfortunately, they had no systems to keep the people. It was just a revolving door.
Yeah, yep.
They were hiring more people. They needed more space. And I just asked the opportunity to talk Frank, and I says, "Let's stop for a take a breath. Let's get your systems in place. And then first of all, if I put you into 600 a 6,000 square foot space, we're going to spend over $700,000 in just a tenant improvements. By the time you're done, you're going to spend another total of over $1 million going into this new space, and you're going to be out of business next year." I said, "Why don't we spend $40,000, remodel what you need, and do it?" And that's the kind of professionals that they need to seek out.
Yeah, that's great because you could have been like, "Yeah, let's go for it," and, it would have been better for you.
Yeah,
But you're there to help them, mentor them to really, truly, passionately help them with their vision. Yeah, and then if you get all those people in there, all those new patients and those places that we've all heard of, and they help you get tons of new patients, but they're not really patients for you, and you don't have systems in place. So really, you're just spinning your wheels, and in the long run, is it really going to work out? Not including all the
yes,
team members that are probably
yeah,
going to run because of it.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
much.
that's great.
So it's interesting. It's everyone's different and unique. And the other thing I've found is, like when it comes to even simple things as blueprints, is just I have a really good eye for understanding what works and what doesn't. But even with that is uh, because every dentist is different, there's some new things that come in mind. But the big issue is it does need to be properly zoned, to help productivity. You want all the production in the back, and you want a back office area, and you want to make sure they're not crossing paths with each other. And you know, but an example of that is how some people think just because an architect drew it, it means it's right exactly what they need.
Hmm.
And one office comes to mind where um, he just was in the process of bringing in a new associate, and the new associate was quite larger than himself. I mean, he was already 6 foot. The new person was 6'6" and weighed 100 pounds bigger, and he was like a linebacker and or tackle. And um, he already had too small of a space between the head of the patient and the cabinet behind him, and it was too tight. But what nobody bothered to look at is he had a 6 foot hallway behind that they could expand into.
Hmm.
And he was just about to go into remodeling his office, but adding 5 or 6 more ops exactly like what he has. It's like doubling your pain, you
Right.
know, and but that's typically what will happen is the architect looks and doesn't understand, so he doesn't know what to look at and doesn't understand those dynamics,
Yeah.
especially. And that's why I took so much time in a design and an operatory setup in my book, was to help basically say to the dentist, just give it to the architect and say, read this and then come back and talk to me. Because then they have the understanding of minimum space and layouts and things that work, and some example of offices that have a good flow and design, and what is it about them that work.
Yeah, and I like because the sterilization rooms, like, because you have that, you take that into consideration. Like, where do you want your sterilization room to be? All the
Yeah.
way down at the end of the building when you're carrying dirty instruments that are. I do infection control training too, so I'm like, you have those dirty instruments with sharp edges. You're going to walk all the way next door with, and so I like
Yeah.
how you have a lot of them in the like in the middle, so it's easy access or different options.
Yeah.
And every operatory doesn't have to be exactly the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great. And
So
to
I,
see things about moving the hallway back because
yeah.
things that you can't vision if you're not
Yeah.
designer.
No, and it's just thinking differently, and
Mhm.
asking the dentist permission to really help them just think a little bit differently. But remember, it is about them. I mean, it's a big investment. The amazing thing is even with all that going on, the success rate. You know what the success rate of a dentist office is. We talk about all small businesses and how after 1 year the success rate is 80% for a small business, and after 10 years it's 20%. Only 20% of them will stay in business after 10 years typically. Now think of what happens with the dentist. Is the average dentist nationwide, their success rate is 99.5%. That's quite a difference.
So you're saying like a regular business is 80%, but a dentist is
No, no,
99.
I'm saying in 10 years, 80% of them will be out of business.
Mm.
And in that same time period, less than a half a percent will go belly up for a dentist.
So what do you think the secret is there for the reason the ones that succeed? Is it because
You know,
they think out?
it's just, it used to be an adage, before 2008, quite often most of the schools would constantly say, you build it, they'll come and you'll succeed. Don't worry about it. And the big thing is since 2008 is more in schools are recognizing that there's a business side of things that they need to start taking care of. And it the dentists can do a lot of wrongs and still succeed. It's just amazing. There's enough profit built into it that they can still succeed. Unfortunately, their profit margins drop. One company that I know that signed up for this national marketing thing, and he had all kinds of patients coming in, but what he was spending, his overhead was 90%. Now he's still in business. He's working his tail off and he's working extremely hard. But that same day, I'll never forget going from him, and he won this award. And I went to another dentist that had just moved into the one of the most expensive lease rate areas in town, and used all day ADEC cabinetry, all day ADEC equipment, and everything. And his overhead was 55%. And that's the difference is, yes, you can still stay in business, you can survive and do it terribly, the business side, or you can and work really hard, or you can hire some professionals to help you make some good choices and get some good systems and processes in place, and get your overhead where it should be. For general dentists, it's 55 is really good, 55, 60%, and for some of the specialists to be down maybe even to 50. But that's huge.
Mhm.
That's why they succeed, is they have that higher profit margin of a bill available to them. And the it's really the bottom line, Cindy, is I found that there's 4 blind spots that dentists have that a lot of them don't realize that they have. And it's just something that might be worth sharing with your listeners.
Yes.
So, and that kind of contributes it. And what's interesting is I just talked to um, the the number one lender for dentists in the nation, and I asked, so what is it that is causing the problems? And basically, it just answered this. And well, first it come before I get into four deadly blind spots is
Deadly.
the biggest thing that aids to their success is relationships. That's the simple biggest thing is helping their success is having relationships with their patients, and then taking the time to ask for referrals and taking the time to build on those relationships rather than look around and spend all their time doing all these things.
Mhm.
The best dentists, the most successful, are the ones that are just relaxed in their own skin,
Mhm.
understand who they are, what they're about, and they just enjoy dentistry, and they give their dentist patients some options, and they don't think about, well, how much am I going to make on this case? They just provide options. It's up to them. There's no stress, and and basically, one friend of mine said, "You take care of them, they'll take care of you," and it's so true.
Yeah, so building trust is the number one important thing you can do with your patients, right? If you
Yes,
build trust and relationships and you generally listen to them,
yes,
care about them,
yeah.
they're going to trust you, they're going to refer people, and they're going to sign up for treatment.
That's
Yeah,
that's
even if it's
so
not.
true.
Yeah.
The things that I see that really hurt dentists are four main areas, and one is focus. That we talked about is just you know basically it's like a kite in the wind. The wind blows this way and they're over here, and it blows that way, and they have someone that's talking in their ear really hard, and they get all of a sudden they're inspired to do something, and they're constantly taking on something new, and rather than really understanding who they are. And so we call it focus on awareness. And the other one is trust on awareness. And you know I did this big time, and I can speak to all four of these because I've blundered in all those through my career. Fortunately, I learned early on, and I survived, and I've been able to rebuild. But I've had some painful experiences, and the blind trust. So what happens is they see the guy and they just believe everything they say. I did that with my office manager, and I believed everything she said. And in fact, she had sewing bees with my female employees and spouses, and then find out that she embezzled and fraud and forgery, and basically stole my business blind. And I had a lot of grief out of that. It just darn near ended my marriage. You know,
Yeah, I've
s-
heard too many stories of that. And yep.
and so that blind trust rather than earned trust. So it's slow steps to make sure that they earn and help people through that. The next is marketing on awareness. And I see so many doctors that will spend every waking hour going out trying to find the best location for themselves, or they take the time to go ahead and try and be their own contractor, or they try to, and then in doing their own contracting, rather than the job taking maybe 4 months, it takes 9 or 12 months to build, and plus all the stress and plus all the rework, plus all the things and aggravation, rather than they could have just done it and concentrate what you did and made more money doing what you do best, dentistry. The other part of that is, example of people making choices of, with market on awareness of they'll hand us a floor plan to me and say, how much? And it's just a floor plan, you know, and as well as I do, oh, sure, we get the number right on just with the floor plan.
Right.
Never visited the site, have no clue what design level they want, have no understanding about what part of town it is. And just in this market, because they don't understand the market, just from one side of the town to the other, if it's the same building, sometimes they can vary by 10, 15, 20%. And I have offices that, like point in case, if it's in the east side, it'll cost me $1,500 for a fire alarm, and it's 18,000 over on the other side of town.
Hmm.
You know, And then does it have air conditioners? Does it not? Does it have concrete? And all these variables, but not understanding those surprises that'll kill you. It's the adage of you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And then also brokers, why do people hire brokers? People say, well, they're getting a lot of money. Well, think about this. If someone else is paying for it, why don't you take the time to hire the absolute best dental broker you can find that will work for you and get you the best deal and get you the most tenant improvement dollars possible and really make it happen and make sure that it doesn't have all these has enough power, enough parking, and all those things, and you don't pay anything for it, but you hire the best. What other industry can that happen in?
Right. Right.
you know and then the self-awareness, basically, those is basically the self-inflicted wounds that hurt our future. Early on in business, I had some self-inflicted wounds, some things that I was carrying baggage that I was kind of like, I swear there was a bullseye in the back of my back with darts ready to throw at them, and I just felt like I was a target for everyone. But it takes all those things that we just talked about, but also the issue of you haven't taken time to deal with your self-worth and your self-esteem, and those are the things that you ask, why is it that some doctors produce better than others? All these affect, but this last one is the most powerful, is when the doctor, he or she, really don't understand who they are, and they haven't taken the time to maybe even go to counseling. You know, I'm I tell you, I've been to counseling numerous times, and it's helped. Provided you find a good one. But
Right.
there's ones. Remember the old Bob Newhart, where you just go repeatedly forever. But
Yep.
but but it's talking about people that are out there that can really help you work through it, through things, and just help you be a better person all the way around.
Do you think it's because they say they, whoever they are, dentists have kind of a bigger ego? Maybe it's because of their ego that they don't stop and take the time to read self-help books or learn or write, journal, get rid of all these old things that are whole, like maybe something really stupid from your
Well,
childhood.
yeah.
Just get it out, and you don't realize how freeing it could be to deal with
Well,
those things.
I think that's part of it, and also, I've been in that boat too, and but one thing that happens is when you step out of school and all of a sudden you start getting those big checks and you start making some big money, all of a sudden it's pretty easy to go to your head and go, your ego. And a lot of times, because they're not business people, they don't understand that it is a business decision and there is a return on your investment, and it should be a slow process, and it's about saving some money and making better choices. It makes such a difference for their future.
Yeah, just taking time to stop and study. Always learn, self study too. Not even
Yeah.
just about dentistry, but in business, but self
Yeah,
study
and
awareness,
it's
like
so
you.
true. But that's human nature too. Is how many of us want to say, "What can I do better?" How many of us want to just open ourselves up and let someone take pot shots at us? It's constructive criticism that we're after, and uh, it takes courage to do. Because not everybody wants to open those closets. And I've helped friends try to go through counseling and stuff, but they get a certain point and they just stop because they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And they you know and so it's a challenge.
So then
It's
yep.
not easy.
But then they still are dealing with it just in a different way. Like
And
underlying depression or yeah,
they will deal with it one way or another, and they'll deal with it. What's the term? With every decision has a consequence. Well, some are good and some are bad, but by ignoring things that aren't working for us, those will typically come back and bite us. At some point, you will pay it, and usually, the longer you wait, the more painful it is later. I can attest to
well,
that.
yeah, I'd love to hear your other story sometime too. It sounds like you have a lot of A lot of good
Uh,
stuff in there or out of
well,
there.
and I share a lot of that freely in the book, and that's really what it's about. Is I wanted to be um, just be a beacon of just help people make better choices and help people move forward. And there's a lot of people out there willing to take your money, and if people can walk away by reading the book of just helping them make a better choice in one area, ideally all the areas, but just understand that there are people out there that really do care, like yourself. You wouldn't be doing this if you didn't care.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of things that you could be doing, Cindy, with your time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yep, I'm sure my dog would like me to be doing something different right now. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, but you've invested in you're investing in others, and that's why you do
Yeah,
this
and
podcast.
and people, yeah, and with love, and I think to be a mentor, it's not just about teaching children, it's about you've been there, you've gone through things, you've had some hardships, you've had some knockdowns, like you said, you've had a target on your back, you've had counseling, and you wanna help other people, not so much to prevent it, but get through it themselves and,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
learn, show them some
Yes.
different out of the
And
box.
hopefully prevent going through part of what we went through. Ideally, all of everything that I've been through. But um, it's uh, there are better choices. Yeah, there definitely are. And it's I'd love to. Uh, Another thing, I don't know how much time do we have, Cindy?
As much time as you want, because yeah, you can talk about as much time as you have. You can
Okay,
cut off whenever you
there's one
want.
other item that why don't we wrap it up with the fists of success?
Okay.
And so it's another thing I coined a few years ago, and it's basically was designed primarily with the dentists that are graduating. And but then as I look at it, it really applies to all of us because it's all decisions. And as I look at it, I've had dentists that are seasoned have some issues, and others that are just getting out of school. And what I've found is there's always dentists that go through it effortlessly and they really get it and they really understand. And then there's others that you almost from the day you meet them, it's kind of like there's another little veil and there's extra crap. I don't know a good word to put, but
Yeah.
and so I called it fists.
Yes.
And so FISTS. And so the idea is what is it about those people that I could help and better understand that they're setting themselves up for things and problems in the future. And the first one is the F for FICA. Just dealing with your FICO score and keeping it ideally around 720 or so. So as you progress and you're getting ready to build an office, you're getting ready to get a loan, you're going to go acquire something else, whatever it might be, or you're a new just graduated student and you're thinking towards your future. That's the first thing is just keep your score high and keep it clean. Don't give up on that rental, and don't have those black marks on you. That's something that's really going to hurt you. And then the so what happens is we got F, and then we got I for intelligent spending. So what happens is, especially for students, earlier I gave indication that it's not uncommon for students to graduate and all of a sudden, wow, I got a big check, so they go buy a big house or they go buy a nice car or
Yeah.
whatever. But seasoned dentists do this too. I just had this happen a few months back, where we're getting ready to start the office. It was like 8 months ago, and he just bought a big house. I mean, literally just the month prior, and he put $200,000 out of his cash, out of his savings, out of it, but it depleted his funds to the point where the lender's going, and he had to get and pay a higher rate because he didn't have money.
Hmm.
So, and people go, well, how can that be? I'm paying down my loan. Well, first things first, think about what gives you a return and what's are you getting an income from, and what is your future? Well, what's feeding your whole life is your dental practice. So build on that, make decisions for that, and then that'll take care of your home and your family and all your hobbies and all your things you want to do. So first, think about that. So you got the FICA and intelligent spending, and then you want to talk about satisfy your passion. And what I mean is there's dentists out there that really want to be a specialist. They want to go from a general dentist into peds or ortho or whatever it might be, but satisfy that. And also there might be a general dentist that is doing the endo and it's just causing them a lot of stress. Get rid of the endo. Sometimes it's that simple. I've had dentists say, well, once a week, I just had this really stressful day. And finally, it just dawned on me it was the endo case that was driving me crazy. Yeah, whatever it is, but think about your passion, because if you're doing things and you have a passion for them, it just knocks you dead and you don't have to think about going to work because it's not a job anymore.
Right.
You love to
Yeah.
do what you do. That's why you do hygiene. That's why you end up going out and do all the evaluations of the offices, Cindy, is you enjoy doing that. Enjoy meeting people. And it doesn't become a job. And you've added podcasts to your list because it's fun and you're making a difference and all fits and aligns with what you're about.
Right.
So, and so here now you notice is your fifth is opening up, and the fourth one is time for relationships. That's the money thing that really makes a difference. We talked about earlier was taking time for relationships. It's your family, it's your significant others, but most importantly also is when you're in the office, it's taking time for your patients and giving them options. And when you have those relationships, what's interesting is they're solid. So all of a sudden you get done and you just lay out maybe 4 options for them for this case. And one might be totally reconstructive and anywhere from pulling a tooth, whatever. And they turn to you and say, what should I do? You know, that's what's, you're doing it right when they're saying, what should I do?
Exactly. Not how much it
You know,
costs.
yeah.
What should I
And,
do?
and but you indicated that earlier, Cindy, is you understand that is
Mhm.
when they have that relationship, it's what do you think rather than, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? And all this, it's all about money. Instead, it's about relationships,
Yes.
you know.
Instead of let me go ask my friends or my
Yeah,
spouse or
let me go do
somebody
an
else.
audit and let me go put up my text and
Yes.
Facebook and see what they think. And then, so we got 4 and your hands opening up. And the last one is dealing with is savings. So your hands are opening up and savings. And typically you want to have $40,000, $50,000 when you're getting ready to do it, and more ideally. But the big thing is the lenders are looking for someone that's made good choices, those items above, have a history, and then someone that really, and they're going, wow, look at that. Not only did they pay their bills and they got their FICO score up and they got relationships, and wow, look at what they're doing in their current practice or where they're being an associate currently. And then wow, they actually made some smart choices and they didn't go buy the big house and the car, and they're actually being practical and they have money in the bank. All of a sudden, everyone, their hands are going like this for not only the lender,
Mm.
but also it gives you more power, clout, and understanding in the entire dental market. So the professionals that come to you are going, wow, this person really understands business. You might not understand all the things about business, but the basic principles
What the
to be
bank
able
wants to
to,
know.
yeah, the ones that really count, the ones that really make a difference.
Yeah.
And so I call that the physics success, just to help people, make some better choices as they go forward.
I like that. Plus, you say your palms are open, so then that means you're open to receive too, right? Because
Yeah,
you're
that's the
not
whole idea.
body language.
It's
And, yeah.
yeah, and so it's everything you do should be with an open hand and an open heart and being willing to, you're going to be taking risks. There's going to be things and we it helps deal with all those pain points of not knowing what to do and what to do next and all those things. But if you surround yourself with those accountable people and then and abide by those things we talked about today, it makes the world a difference for that dentist.
Yes. So then everybody's happy. And then
Yes,
one thing too, that building relationships also with your team, correct? So your patients, but also
absolutely.
with your team members. And
Yeah, I was just visiting with the dentist for the first time about a month ago, and female dentist, and we were having the meeting, and it was right at the end of the day, and I said, "This lady gets it." I could just, you can tell by certain people's persona how they
mhm.
present themselves, but within 10 minutes, we had two interruptions, and they said, staff member, team members coming in and going, "Excuse me, I just want to say goodbye to the doctor." And and after they left, I said, "Kudos to you." I gave her a high five, and I said, "You get it. You understand how valuable your team members are, because when they make you sing, you dance, and it really makes it work well."
I love it. I love it. That's so true. Yep. If you actually want to say goodbye to the doctor and
Yeah,
before you go
most of
home at
us,
night.
there's offices literally, and we've all seen them where the staff can't wait to run out the door.
Yeah, they don't want to see the doctor. It's like, just get me out of here.
I've had enough,
Hmm. Yeah,
so
that's great.
yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you, Steve. I love hearing you're so full of information. I'm sure that we could have you back on again
Well,
sometime to
I'd
tell
be
us
happy to
more.
do that,
And I'll be reading some more of your book and finding out some more of your story. 'Cause I kind of
Well, I'd love that, and, if you'd like to, just give me a buzz, and we'd happy to set something else up, but
yes,
I
definitely.
appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah. So how can we get a hold of you? How can our listeners get a hold of you? We have the book, the Dental Ease book, and then your company's name is Denko. Is that right?
Yeah, it's called Denko Dental Construction. I'm very simple.
Okay,
Den stands for dental, and co stands for construction. Denko Dental Construction.
perfect.
And the book is Dental Ease, and they're both easy to find on the internet. And then that's dreamdentalpractice.net. Dreamdentalpractice.net is my website. And but thank you so much.
Thank you. And when I was first started in dentistry, I was working in the front office, and I was like writing a book in my head. It was called The Perfect Office, or the Dream Office. So when I saw your book, I'm like, what? People are cool, but yours is a little more extensive.
Well, what's interesting is I also even have Making Your Dream. It's actually copyright. I actually have the
Wow,
copyright. I've had it that long.
making your dream. To be
Making
able to
Your Dream
copyright
Reality.
that, so yeah,
What's
you've
that?
got to be able to copyright making your dream. That's so you have had it for a
Making
long
Your
time.
Dream a Reality. I've had it that long. Yeah.
Okay, so that was yours first. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, it's just
That's
fortunate.
that's great. And so then it happened, and you're making your dream, making other people's dreams too.
Yeah. And as we close, that's something to think about, is when you meet with those professionals, is are they about your dream or someone else's? And I was so proud of one of my team members when they reminded me, we're in a meeting and we're talking about finishes, and I'm just kind of going, I don't know about this. And she looked at me and said, "Steve, it's their dream." And
Mhm.
that's really what it's all about, is making your dream reality. And it doesn't get any better than that.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Dental Elements podcast. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.